What if I told you that one of the most thoughtful critiques of modern society comes wrapped in a zombie movie? Surprising, right? In 2016, South Korean director released Train to Busan, and it didn't just become a box office phenomenon, but it drew staggering 11 million spectators in a country of just over 51 million people. That means that roughly 1 in 5 South Koreans went to see that zombie film. So the question is why? What made this movie resonate so deeply with the Korean audience? Today I'm going to argue that Train to Busan is not really a horror film. It's a mirror held up to society grappling with inequality, institutional failure, and the cost of putting yourself first. So let's get into it. On the surface, the plot is simple. A workaholic fund manager named Shiok-woo boards a high-speed KTX train from Seoul to Busan with his young daughter Shuon, and a zombie apocalypse breaks out along the way. But the genius of this film lies in its setting. The train provides a joint space for a socially diverse group from South Korean society, placing them on a generally equal footing. But via the separate changes, it creates a mechanism to prevent mobility between classes. Think about that. The train cars aren't just locations, they're social compartments. The train cars are literally social compartments: first class, regular carriages, and the crew area. And passengers' options and fates map directly onto their mobility and the privilege that they have. The rich are at the front, the ordinary people are in the middle, and when the outbreak begins, the people at the front, those with power, use it to keep the other people out, even at the cost of their lives. So this train is the South Korean society in a miniature. Every movie needs a monster, every zombie movie especially. In Train to Busan, the zombies are terrifying, but they are not the real villains. That role belongs to Young Suk, who's a corporate executive who manipulates frightened passengers into blocking the doors against the survivors, sacrifices others to save himself, and in every turn chooses self-preservation over human decency and morality. The film blames corporate callousness for the death toll. The government covers up the truth or is largely absent. And rather than rescue passengers, the crews follow the wishes of a businessman. This was deeply resonant for Korean audiences. These themes were resonant in South Korea, which in 2014 faced national tragedy after 300 people, mostly teenagers, died when a ferry overturned, and the government's response was widely criticized. The MERS health crisis followed in 2015 that audiences watching Train to Busan weren't just watching fiction, they were watching the recent history dramatized. Young Suk isn't a cartoon villain. He's frighteningly believable because systems that reward self-interest produce people like him. Now, let's talk about the heart of the film, our protagonist, Suk-woo. He begins the film as exactly the kind of person the film is criticizing. He's absent from his daughter's life, he's emotionally detached, and crucially, his investment firm is later revealed to be linked to the very company responsible for the outbreak. He literally profits from the system that caused that same disaster. Shok Wu's self-interest hangs over his every action. At one point, he tells his daughter, "At a time like this, only watch out for yourself." But his daughter, Shuon, is his conscience. She's the moral compass of the film. She's instinctively generous and unwilling to leave people behind. Through her eyes, and through his relationship with Xianghua, the working class hero of the film, it is the gangster Xianghua who teaches the respectable Shokwu about social responsibility and the importance of family life over work. Shoku's arc is the film's central argument, that empathy is something you can't choose, but only if you're willing to unlearn the selfishness that the systems of power have built into you. Beyond its central and character themes, Train to Busan works because it's genuinely brilliantly made. The confined space of the train creates a relentless tension. Every carriage crossing is a set piece. The tunnel sequence where passengers must move silently through pitch darkness because zombies can't see is a masterclass in suspenseful filmmaking. Naturally, parallels exist between Train to Busan and Bong Joon-ho's Snowpiercer. given that both structured their plot around a fast moving train to amplify advancing momentum, and both of them involve a journey through dangerous train cars, each representing their own unique challenge. But what separates Train to Busan is its emotional investment. You care about these characters. When Xianghua sacrifices himself, it hits hard because the film earned it. However, no film is perfect, and it's worth being honest. Some characters are thinly drawn, the elderly sisters, the young couple, and they exist primarily as emotional instruments rather than fully realized people. The film can also lean into melodrama in its final act in ways that slightly undercut the realism it works so hard to build. And while the social commentary is sharp, it does stay at the level of individuals, showing us good people and bad people rather than fully interrogating the structural forces that make those young shooks possible in the first place. That is something Parasite does more surgically 3 years later. But here's the bottom line. Train to Busan does something rare. It takes a genre that Hollywood had exhausted and fills it with genuine meaning. Yang Chong-hu crafted a film as nuanced in its critique of South Korean society as it is thrilling as a balls-to-the-wall action horror. It asks one simple question. When everything falls apart, do you close the door or do you hold it open? How you answer that question says everything about the kind of society you're building.